The most lopsided series sweep in NBA playoff history. Something we've never seen before. Cavs are a wagon, but how much of that was the Miami Heat last night? Also, the Rockets, they had their chances, could not close the dubs, what Golden State up 3-1 means. And the Panthers, 2 goals in 11 seconds. But should Aaron Ekblad have even been in the game to score that first goal? Let's go around the horn.
Not a lot of things you can do in 11 seconds, Tony, especially twice.
I got a couple ideas. Rockets had their chances. 6 seconds left. Şengün jump hook over Draymond. No. And then after the free throws, a good look for Van Vliet. I mean, he got a clean shot off at the buzzer, air ball. Clutch time again going to Golden State. As you all knew it would, thought it would, said it would. Jimmy Butler was humongous, 14 of his 27 in the fourth, as he's known to do. Golden State up 3-1. Oh, but here's Fred Van Vliet after the game. We're going to get it. George Sedano around the horn to you. Takeaway from Dubs 109, Rockets 106.
Well, you already alluded to it, Tony. Jimmy Butler does what Jimmy Butler does, which is the fourth quarter of games in the postseason. He comes up big. What you've seen, though, and I was there on Saturday night when they didn't have Jimmy Butler.
Inside information.
Is that, you know, Steph Curry has to do way too much when he's not around. Now, they got some contributions on Saturday night. Buddy Hield, Gary Payton. You know, obviously Draymond did his thing. But I remember being there for a couple of games right before the trade deadline. And Steph just looked exhausted. Jimmy just allows them to all fit into what is their natural roles. You know, Steph has a true running mate offensively that can create. He's a giving player in that sense. I remember talking to Brandon Pajemski on Saturday and him telling me about how Butler told him, hey, don't change what you do just because I'm here. Let me do what I do. And he talked about how he's such a giving player as an offensive player. It's not about him searching for his own shots. And then defensively, they already had a good defense, Tony, but he makes them elite. With the Rockets, we just, look, they...
Bad word. I heard what you said there, George. George, I want to tell you...
Okay, that's fine.
You've been a very giving reporter here with your answers. So much inside information. You've got a big lead. Let's turn to Harry Lyles Jr. here for a takeaway. And we'll get back to you, George, please.
Sure. Yeah, the Houston Rockets really didn't help themselves for starters. If we just look at the missed free throws, that is the game right there, 1. 2, Dillon Brooks ignited Jimmy Butler, who said as much after the game. Yeah, somebody said something to me, and so I decided to go off. And that's when you get 14 and 27 points in the fourth quarter. And then Jalen Green, essentially a no-show in these 3 losses, averaging 8 points per game. He was their leading scorer throughout the season. And then the experience, Tony, of this Warriors team continues to come through. 22-10, outscoring the Rockets in clutch time, and 3-0 in these games where there has been clutch time. So Golden State, I don't know how sustainable this is over the postseason, but it's definitely good enough to beat this Rockets team.
Marcel Louis-Jacques, takeaway from Dubs' win last night.
You know, Tony, when Fred Van Vliet said that, you know, we're going to get it, I hope that he means they're going to understand that in the playoffs, you have to play your game. You have to win using your game. Your strategy can't be to get the other team out of theirs. That's what it felt like Houston was trying to do, was just get Golden State out of character. That second quarter was a disaster, I think, from an officiating standpoint, from just a character standpoint. Technical fouls, grabbing jerseys, stripping balls after the play, taunting. Like, it was a mess. But Houston had a 7-point lead at halftime. It was working until that experience of Golden State started to kick in. They realized, like, oh, dude, we don't need to mess around with these kids. Like, we've been here before. We know how to play this game. I think, like, they need to – that was their shot. The series is essentially over. Really turning it to Golden State, though. Draymond Green showed his value on so many occasions, and he has to know better than to get a technical and a flagrant foul in like a 30-second span.
Really? Yeah. Are you familiar with the oeuvre of young Draymond Green? That Draymond didn't go technical. That Draymond went Draymond. Let's go to Kevin Blackistone here, please, on your takeaway.
Well, thank you for mentioning Draymond, because I thought what the Rockets tried to do, Marcel, you just kind of mentioned it, is trying to get that roster into their window. And by that I mean they know that they are at a talent differential, right? With Butler as the lead, Steph as a secondary player now and everybody else filling in. And I thought what Dillon Brooks tried to do was really smart because he baited Draymond into the first technical, which was kind of weak. And then the second technical, which was not a technical, it was just a flagrant foul, should have been a technical. Dillon wasn't involved in that. But if you get Draymond Green out of the game, you get his versatility off the floor where he's able to guard anybody and everybody. And then I think you really have a chance. It didn't work out that way. I thought the referees failed in that chance. But now, as you said, everyone has said, this series is all but over.
George Sedano, we'll go back to you.
Tony, just lastly on the Rockets, they do deserve a ton of credit. They've been in pretty much every single one of these games, and they could have flipped at any point. They don't have a closer, though, is the problem. I also think Ime Udoka's done a great job building this team, but it was not his best work late in that game, particularly mismanaging some of those timeouts.
Kevin Blackistone had Butler the 1 and Curry the 2 for Golden State. I mean, I don't know why you got to put numbers on it. You honestly do. I'm not sure if I'm going there. Curry's not 2 to anybody. But maybe playoff Jimmy in the final 3 seconds of some possessions or defensively. But then again, maybe not. He's Steph Curry. We'll move on. The most lopsided series sweep in NBA playoff history. What are we talking about with the Cavs Heat? This series was over quarter 4 of game 1, yes. But last night, it got to 60 points at one point. And the final was 138-183, a 55-point closeout win for the Cavs, who have a perfect start to the postseason, which they hope is a perfect postseason. Looking every bit the 1 seed. For Miami, there's thinking about a trip to Cancun, and then there's forced relocation via witness protection in Cancun, which is what that was last night. Kevin, what did the Cavs just do to the Heat?
They did what they're supposed to do. They absolutely crushed them. Didn't think it was going to be a margin of victory like this, but they are the best team or the second best team in basketball right now, and they played like it. And I think they did the Heat somewhat of a favor because they showed them what the future can be. I mean, this is a team that has been built the right way, right? They loaded up on assets. They loaded up on draft picks. All of those guys have paid off. They went out and got a superstar in Mitchell. He's paid off, and now they've got a championship caliber team. Did what they should.
They showed the Heat what the future could be, though? No, they showed the Heat something else, and we all saw what that was. George Sedano, around the horn to you.
All right, in regards to Cleveland, Tony, they're a 64-win team for a reason. The Heat were a 10 seed for a reason,
exactly.
Okay? But the reality is this. I will push back on Kevin a little bit. Are they the best or second best team? I guess we'll find out. But I think Oklahoma City and the reigning champions have something to say about being the best and the second best team in the sport currently. But look, Donovan Mitchell has been phenomenal on this team, and it's not just about the points and the stats, Tony. He's empowered those guys. He had this conversation with Kenny Atkinson in the offseason about making sure he empowered those guys to reach their maximum potential around him to allow them as a whole to rise and be able to be at this level.
An incredible day from Sedano. The first answer is all about giving. The second answer is all about empowering. You're reaching your full Tony Robbins potential. Harry Lyles Jr., around the horn to you.
So I'm sort of with KB in terms of the Cavaliers. They might not be 1 or 2. I'll give them 3. I will say the one thing, though, that they do have in common with the Celtics and the Thunder is that not only is there talent, but there's depth here. Like, we're talking about a team that hasn't had their second leading scorer in Darius Garland the last 2 games, and they still won those by 37 and 55. Like, I understand that the Heat were the 10th best team in the Eastern Conference this year, but when you're putting on a whooping like that, you're putting on a whooping. Like, I don't care what that looks like. So I think that they've shown that they are a team that is going to be consistent, that they could play deep. And I think Kenny Atkinson deserves a lot of credit as well. This is a guy that's got a lot of experience in this league. He's seen a lot of basketball, and it's showing up for this basketball team right now.
Okay, deserves a lot of credit, but you're not giving them. I mean, this is the most lopsided first round and any series, a history of the sport we're talking about here. And all I'm hearing is, well, you know, you got to get behind line and the Thunder, and you got to get behind line of the Celtics for what they're doing right now. Go ahead, Marcel Louis-Jacques, please.
I mean, the Cavs, they just beat the hope out of the Heat. I mean, it was already a lopsided series. They saw, to borrow a phrase from Tyler Booker, the Cowboys draft pick, they saw the joy leave their eyes over the course of this series to the point where at home, you're down 60 at home, dude. I haven't even seen that in 2K. Why are you doing that in real life? Like, it was a obvious sign that they don't have a motor in Miami right now. There is no Jimmy Butler. There's no Haslam. There's no Wade. There's not that guy that can get that team going. I think Tyler Hero had a great season. Like, he is an all-star caliber player, but can't be that guy for you. Bam Adebayo isn't that guy for you. So this offseason is going to be the same that we've heard from Miami time and time and time again. It's time to go get a superstar. Go get a superstar. But in this case, it's not an auxiliary guy. They need to go get a top guy,
that,
and I'm
not
sure
the way
if that's
Eric
on the market
Spoelstra was
right now.
talking after the game? Did you hear the way Bam Adebayo was talking after the game? Let's roll tape on that.
You know, this series is humbling. These last 2 games are embarrassing. We're as irrational as we usually are, thinking that we have a chance to win this series, and they showed us why, you know, we weren't ready.
There's going to be a lot of changes this summer, just from my point of view, understanding how, you know, the guy with the silver hair works.
The guy with the silver hair talking about Pat Riley. George, how do you hear that?
Tone, it's a pivotal offseason. I don't think there's any doubt. They need to choose a direction and choose a path. Either you go rebuild, okay, and you start over again, or you go and try to chase one of these whales that's going to be out there. I think there's going to be a lot of movement. I will say this. I want to push back on some of our colleagues, and I respect them all, obviously, and their basketball acumen about saying Pat Riley needs to step down. Let me explain something to everyone out here. Pat Riley is the face of the front office. Pat Riley does not make unilateral decisions for the Miami Heat anymore, okay? Pat Riley, for the last several years, has made collaborative decisions with a group of 6, 7, maybe even 8 people in the room that have made these decisions. So if you believe that this team is in the doldrums now and that they don't know what they're doing, then why were you crediting them, this same group of people making these decisions over the last several years and even further beyond that? But Pat has not been the sole decision maker for this team for a while.
Buck stops with him, though, right? I mean, that's where
he's the face. He's the face, but no decision gets made unilaterally there anymore.
Marcel, I'll give you the last word on this. You're in Miami.
Yeah, it's one of those. The season was effectively done. They were overachieving to get to this point, right? As soon as Jimmy Butler
the 10th seed, and they were overachieving. I get it.
This thing was cooked. So like the fact that they even made their way in the playoffs had you kind of thinking like, oh wow, maybe the Heat culture is real. Like maybe this is enough to get them a win or two. It's not. Like, it's time for logic to take over and fantasy to go away. Heat culture is nothing without a star. You need to go get a star.
Well, time to check in on our star. I did this before. Look at this. Come over here. I'm muting. And what happened? They turned off the power. We still have a month left. What's going on around here? We're going to get the mute button to work when we come back.
Of course, it's Harry.
Around the horn. How quick a game and series turns. Third period, Tampa's up 2-1, looking to even the series, and Aaron Ekblad ties it for Florida. And then 11 seconds later, Seth Jones take the lead for Florida. And then the Panthers, defending champs, BOA constricted out, as they do. All that came after this. Ekblad, Brandon Hagel, a hit that drew no whistle. John Cooper was irate. Mark Messier at the desk was irate, talking about it in between intermission, I should say. Tampa initially responded to that with 2 goals and 11 seconds of their own, but it's Florida's 2-11, and Ekblad being involved in it, that turned the game. Ekblad hearing with the Department of Player Safety Office as we record right now. What are you buying from this outcome? Around the horn, Kevin Blackstone.
Well, what I'm buying is the Panthers are being the Panthers, the most penalized team in the league. This is the way they play. They brutalize opponents, and then they put the puck in the net. I'm amazed, though, that was not handled on the ice, and we have to wait till today to see how the league is going to handle that hit by Ekblad.
Marcel Louis-Jacques.
I'm buying that this series is over. Florida is 5-0 when they have a 3-1 lead in the playoffs, and all but 2 of those games or those series were over in Game 5. So I think this is about.
You realize you're turning into Bill Plaschke, East Coast now, Marcel. Every segment, it's 3-1, it's over. All right, that's how you roll, and nobody ever recovers from going full Plaschke. I'll say that. Harry Lyles Jr. around the Hortillo.
I'm buying what Paul Maurice has been saying about this team all season is true. Whatever they need to bring to the table, they are going to bring. In this case, it was 2 goals in 11 seconds. And they did that after the Lightning did it first. It's the first time in the 4,976 games that have played in Stanley Cup history that has been done. If your team can do that, they can do anything.
George Dano.
Tony, I'm buying that the Panthers are the rare combination of incredibly skilled as maybe any team in the sport, or particularly in their conference, but also being habitual line steppers, right? Like you toed that line. We were just talking in the NBA about Draymond and the Warriors. That's how they've been able to toe that line for years too.
Maybe skaters, line skaters, I think might be more accurate. On Ekblad, is that a suspendable hit for you? I mean, should have been a whistle in the game, and is it a suspendable hit? I'm seeing everybody saying yes. So the fact that he was in the game to tie it after that is another one of these moments. Marcel, please go ahead.
Yeah, it's if it was in a vacuum, then maybe not. But the fact that like Hager was already suspended for that hit on Barkov, like this was clearly retaliation for a previous hit in the series. Like it's not a one-off, it's not a vacuum event. Like I'm expecting discipline.
I don't want to be in a vacuum. I know you don't want to be in a vacuum either. We'll move on. Tonight, Clippers Nuggets. Let's play over/under. Over/under, one frame deciding this game, because that's what it was last time. Unbelievable. Still, the highlight of this postseason for me, it's the best series. It's a pivotal Game 5 tonight. What's the encore to that all-time finish over the weekend? Not to mention the 3 other great games. Adjustments and adjustments to the adjustments. Let's go around the horn, George. Who has the edge?
Tony, I give the Clippers the edge, even though they're going to be on the road. They're the deeper team. And look, when the Nuggets have won, they've played their A++ game. I don't know if they can give you that every night because they're so they only have 4 guys they can really trust out there in a big moment. So I think the Clippers will overwhelm them with their depth.
Jr.
Tone, I'm going Clippers here too. Kawhi Leonard is healthy and looking like the Kawhi Leonard of old. And plus, the Nuggets might be a little tired going into this one. 4 of their 5 starters played 45 or more minutes in Game 4. I just don't know that that's going to be sustainable.
Marcel Louis-Jacques.
Yeah, going off that, their big 4 is all averaging 40 minutes a game. They do play up in the Mile High City, so their lung capacity is a little better than normal, but you can only take so much. Not to mention, this is house money now. After you fired your head coach and GM, you basically said, hey, do your best this season. We'll get them next year.
Understood. But the series has been an even series, and now I'm just picking up what you're putting down all show and your body language. How might you describe this series should the Clippers win tonight, Marcel?
Well, a fancy little word I borrowed from my good friend Bill Plaschke. It's
unbelievable,
over, Tony.
Marcel.
It's over.
This is just,
it's over.
Keep going full Plaschke.
Blackistone.
Oh, my goodness. There's a guy out there who's got the MVP trophy a couple of times who can be extremely dynamic and could turn things around. So I'm not ready to say it's over, but the direction that they are headed, it certainly does not look good.
Well, Marcel, some might say that was a horn and it's over right now. But, I mean, it's an impressive maneuver you're putting for the last month of the show to become the Plaschke East. Let's see. No!
It looks like it's over for me.
No! What is happening? Who got into
It's
the
over
system?
for the mute button.
Finally, the world is all right.
Oh, come on. Even when I'm being... Oh, there it is. A little gentle touch. Little touch. Sedano, Lyles, this is hilarious. Take a showdown next. Knicks Pistons. This is the My Bad series. Ref said, my bad. We got it wrong, but nothing we can do about it now. You're down 3-1, Detroit. What up, though? Can the Pistons recover from that gut punch, or do the Knicks close it out tonight at the Garden? George, around the horn to you.
Tony, can they? Yeah, I think they can, but I think that what they'll need is more help for Cade Cunningham. He hasn't had enough of it in this series. But because of that, the Knicks have been here before. I think the Knicks close out this series.
Harry Lyles Jr.
Yeah, I think they can, but they won't. Jalen Brunson is averaging 13.3 points in the 4th quarter of this series. The last person to do that was Kobe Bryant in 2008. I think the Knicks finally get a series win at home, which they haven't done since 1999.
All right, so just so I have this right, you're both saying the series is, in a word,
over.
Like Vince Carter and Marcel Louis-Jacques say.
Showdown 2, us versus the world. And by us, I mean the U.S. NBA says it's considering it for the All-Star game, as nearly everyone on the planet has said they should. We had this conversation months ago when the last All-Star game fell flat with the new format. And we had this conversation last year when the previous All-Star game to that went into the 200s. And we had this conversation the year before that and the year before that, because this is where we are. Someone I know whose name rhymes with Snorge Giordano was concerned whether the international team could get 12 players a few months ago. Go ahead, Snorge.
I still think that's the case. I think they can get 10 legitimate all-stars. They can't get to 12. But you know what, Tony? Let's just speed this up because this is where we're heading anyway. And it will actually get the American players to contribute in a big way and play because they're not going to want to lose to the international players. And we know the international guys are going to want to stick it to the American guys.
Harry Lyles Jr., around the horn to you.
Yes, if they can field a team of international players, which I do think that they would be able to do, I think that this would add the right herbs and spices to get guys to actually try to compete in this game, which is pride. And if that doesn't do it, let's go back to East and West and just leave it the way it was.
Herbs and spices.
Wait, if that doesn't do it, then
well,
what? No,
I'm not worried about that. Snorge, hold on a second, Snorge. You said they couldn't get to 10 before. They can get to 12. They can get to 12 herbs and spices. Let's see what Harry Lyles is cooking up for FaceTime.
Wanted to shout out the West Forsyth High School esports team. They won their Rocket League championship to bring home the state title. They won 4-2 against Milton High School. Shout out to Gabriel, Kai, and Brady. And my cousin Carl, who is their head coach. And I asked him, hey, how are you the head coach of an esports team? He said, hey, you know, you got to encourage the guys, get them to play together, all that type of stuff. So it sounds great. I got to tell you something, though. I will never be somebody that says, hey, if I wouldn't have gotten hurt, I would have been a great athlete or any of these kinds of things. But for as much homework as I did not do and as much video games as I did play, I would have been a 4-time state champion, baby. You better believe that.
Yes, right. We all now say, well, I could have gone pro in video games. That's great. George, I love you. I love you, George. We'll see you guys tomorrow around the horn.